Okay, hi, my name is Winston Cadenas. Capturing moments, sharing stories through my music.
Okay, this is take one, interview one, take one, and 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so I started writing.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Hi, my name is Winston Cadenas. I make music so that people can have joy. And there's the tie-in. Okay, I'll say that again. I started off playing piano when I was like maybe 6 years old, but even then I was a really rambunctious child, so I spent a lot of more time standing on top of the piano than actually playing it. And but that gave me the bones and like the beginning of what my music career was gonna be, because I think later in life, whenever I got attached to the idea of playing like the electric guitar, I already had like the bones and the structure to like grow upon that. And so I started taking lessons when I was around 9 years old and just kind of started growing through that. But it was mostly just like electric, like secular, fun stuff until I really like fell in love with like the idea of doing acoustic praise and worship music. And then that's where I feel like my music really grew, and that's where I found like most comfort in. I started writing music whenever I was like in second grade. Every guy wanted to be like Justin Bieber or like One Direction at that time, and so it was something that I like got into just because I thought it was gonna like give me a career, like something I'd be like super famous and all the girls wanted to like talk to me or whatever. But then it quickly grew into like a way of me.
Do you want to get some coffee? 'Cause I don't like movies.
The Coffee Song, which is a song that I wrote about getting stood up on a coffee date, which is a true story. It's like super silly, and I knew it was gonna be like just something that I could laugh about going forward. But I ended up getting to share one of my songs. And when I wrote that song, it was revealing something that was really like personal and also kind of embarrassing, but taking that and turning it into something that was fun and easy to share with other people. That's whenever I realized like maybe songwriting is something that I really want to continue to pursue.
I'm super nervous, but it don't be worth it, 'cause I can't wait to get coffee with you.
I think one of the times that I recognized that my music that I wrote could connect with people was singing that song that I wrote about like getting stood up on a coffee date, because I felt like that was a natural human experience that a lot of people could relate to. And the confidence of sharing that moment gave me the confidence to explore even deeper, like what else can I connect with people? And so that kind of paralleled into maybe I can share more of my experiences, and something that is in my life a lot is my faith. And so being able to explore like my relationship with Jesus the same way that I explored like my relationship failing at getting stood up on a coffee date, being able to share like the Coffee Song in front of like a large group of like an audience and getting like a positive response, I think that really showed me like there's something here. And so moving forward, I was able to use that song like at retreats or at youth events, and this really gave me a way of using my gifts not only to pursue like further pursue music or anything like that, but more just using my gifts in different ways to evangelize.
We were gonna go at 3, but it's just my luck, I'm stuck at Starbucks alone.
Whenever I'm writing my music, I like to sneak in little anecdotes of just kind of whether it's like a saint quote. And sometimes I'll sit down and I'll write a song, and I'll be working on writing a song that's like, say, about my relationship with my fiance. The way that like I just would describe her is like the way that maybe is seen in the Bible, or like Jesus like describes us as people. And so something that I was writing with recently was like, "You are beautifully and wonderfully made." That could be taken as a secular song, but people that are Catholic might recognize that and like recognize that truth straight from the Bible. That song ended up actually turning back into a praise and worship song whenever I realized that like that message could resonate with so many more people as well in that sense. And so kind of playing with like the genres, because all of it is just one collective truth. It gives me like that whole range of like genre bending and moving in and out, and it's a fun world to explore. And I think as a listener, it's also very fun to kind of hear like these new takes on these words that we've heard a lot of times. So a big thing that I've been trying to accomplish recently is using my music as a tool of evangelization. And I think my main focus in that is understanding that there is a large group of people that are on the fence about the faith. They might, when they think of like Catholic music, they might only think of like Gregorian chants or like the old-timey stuff. And everyone loves that, and that is completely great. But for some people, that's not something that like is really appealing.
Can you listen and let me talk for a bit?
And I'm not advocating for like tossing that out and bringing in like this whole new wave of music. I just want to use my gifts and my passions to create like this new style of music where people that are maybe more into like the secular stuff can resonate with it and relate to like these real life experiences, and then say like, if I've been feeling this way, then is there like a way to kind of like let these things go? And so writing about a breakup, you know, I have my song Still on Sunday Afternoon, where it's like, I am dealing with these things, but I also have my song It's Gonna Get Better, where it says like, even if you're going through like these hard times, like God is a God who loves his children.
Twice what I've been, twice what I am, and I wanted to be the reason why you smile in your sleep and make you happy when you're with me.
And so someone who's not like, someone who isn't religious could be listening to this whole song and be like, wow, this message is like really hitting me. Like, why is this message something that I haven't heard before? And then whenever it gets to like that bridge where they realize like it's talking about God and God loving his children, and like the whole song has been about that, then it's like, well, we gotcha. like you've resonated with the message, and it's pointing back to Christ. And I think that's something that I want my music to really do. I want my song Still. It's a secular song that kind of talks about the journey of. It starts off with like, you still smile when I call you. Don't you think that's a little messed up? And it just tells this story of a person that's going through still being in love with somebody that's clearly moved on. And so the song really focuses on just how that plays a role in their life going forward. The second verse talks about finally going on a first date. The food was good. The wine was great. You talked all night about surface things, but then I called her your name. So this song really captures all like the little things that like a person's going through. And it never like refers back to like Christ, but instead of it focusing on like the detriments or like why am I still in love? This is like your fault or anything like that. It just focuses on like the human experience. And something that I learned is especially like working in like youth ministry. Sometimes like having like that catchy or like that little like quirky line is what gets that foot into the door to really relate with like these teens or like whoever is listening. And so I think by implementing like a little bit of humor into something that's not funny, like being still in love with someone that doesn't love you isn't funny, but phrasing it in a way that could be funny or just could like give you like an in to like later show, like if you like this, then maybe you'll like this other music as well. And I think that's kind of why diving into like more of like the mainstream music, I think it gives me an edge into being able to share my like faith fully.
And now I've seen you graduated. It must have been great to see your friends. It's been a while since we last spoke, but I'm still scared to be alone. Oh, why am I still in love? Is it the thought of you, or what we could become? When you're clearly giving up, isn't it messed up? Isn't it messed up, my love?
So I dabbled in a lot of different types of music. I wrote like rap music growing up, and I wanted to be a rapper or whatever that meant. And I worked with like doing like funky music and stuff like that. And there was the genre of Christian music is more like praise and worship is like what you automatically think of like contemporary Christian music. But Christian music is just like a style of music, and you can have all these different genres within that. And so even focusing on Christian music, it still gave me the whole freedom to like continue to explore different genres, which is something that I'm really passionate about.
You are seen, you are loved, here where you're standing. You are enough in the panic, in the call. You've always been held, so trust in those arms and don't go changing your heart, because things get hard. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. When you're nervous and afraid, trust that help is on the way. If you stumble, need a hand, He is there with you and He'll understand. So don't go changing your heart, because things get hard. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
Sweet, so that was my song, It's Gonna Get Better. That was written as a prayer dealing with anxieties or just like different fears that were like in life, knowing and praying that it's gonna get better and that it's gonna get fixed. And even the title, It's Gonna Get Better, I wrote it as like a prayer for people that maybe they're just going through tough times and they just wanted to give Winston a listen. And that's the song that they're gonna find, and that's the truth that they're gonna find.
And even though we don't deserve it, He's a God who loves His children. And even when we don't feel worth it, He's a God who loves His children. Oh. And even though we don't deserve it, He's a God who loves
you're sitting in like a pew and you don't feel seen and you don't feel loved. The idea for it really stemmed from just sitting during praise and worship, and I am typically the one that's like leading the praise and worship, and so I get a really unique view at watching the people in the congregation and their reactions to hearing these truths, that they are loved and they are seen. And oftentimes I get to see like the reactions and how that affects people to hear those truths. And so I wanted to write a song that really focused on that.
So don't go changing your heart because things get hard. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. So don't go changing your heart because things get hard. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
The one that I really chose to hone in on is more of like a chill, like reflective vibe. And that was kind of the reasoning behind that was because I did a lot of praise and worship growing up, and in college I did a lot of praise and worship. And I remember looking out into the pews and just kind of seeing the way like the music resonated with people. And sometimes like a song I would watch like on their face as like hearing the words like moved in their heart.
You don't choose to stay. Sunday afternoon, putting two and two together. Tell me what you meant when you said forever.
When you're sitting in like a pew and you don't feel seen and you don't feel loved, to reaffirm that, like, and so especially writing music in a way that it was like a prayer from the Lord and with the congregation in mind rather than like myself in mind, I feel like that gave me a new insight, and it strengthened my relationship with the Lord, because the same way that I felt about someone that was in the pews like worshiping, like I wanted them to know that they were seen and they were loved. And then I knew that that desire and that want came from God. And if that's what he was putting on my heart, then I want that to be shared.
Lately I feel our hearts are beating but not in tune. That makes me panic and question everything you do. Send me love if you can. If not, I'll understand. Maybe you moved on already, and you say you love me in pity. Maybe I just need to be ready for the break my heart will take if you don't choose to stay.
I think God put these talents in my life for a bigger purpose. And I think fulfilling that purpose is something that has really influenced me in wanting to actually take that next step and release music and be a better artist and go out and try and get more gigs. And it's not for my glorification, it's for the glorification of God. And I think that having those gifts in my life is what God gave me as my tool to point others to him. And so that's one of my biggest inspirations, is just wanting to point others as well. And I think hearing people's like affirmations in that, if I can see or hear that my story or my song helps someone continue their story, that's the satisfaction that I really desire.
2, 3. Monday morning, I stay watching my phone. Tell me what you meant when you said, leave me alone. 'Cause I feel my heart is beating out my chest. If this is it, I wish you all the best. Send me love if you can. If not, I'll understand. 'Cause baby, you moved on already, and you say you love me in pity. And maybe I just need to be ready for the break my heart will take if you don't choose to stay. You are seen, you are loved, here where you stand. You are enough, independent.
Whoever is interested in getting into praise and worship or into just any music in general, I think the number one thing that you can do is find somebody to stick by. I know a lot of stuff that I've learned is just from finding other people that know a little bit more about me. I think being a sponge is one of the most important things you can do. I know at first and at times it might be a little bit nerve-wracking to either step on a stage or just go up and have that conversation with somebody like, hey, this is who I am, this is the type of music I want to make. But once you step out of that boat and onto the waters, and it's easy to walk. So I think focusing on that is something that for sure helped me in my career, and I know it'll help you as well.
Problems, worries, sadness. Are you seeking solutions?
Bible says,
Do not be anxious about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Choose faith over fear.